all,
Right.
you're further than anybody said you would be. And I have enough class, and I was raised well enough to say, when you outdo,
yes, sir. Thank you.
When you outdo expectations, good for you. But there's another side to this. People have talked about a miracle. I'm hearing about a nightmare. It's hard to be a parent tonight for a lot of us. You tell your kids, don't be a bully. You tell your kids, don't be a bigot. You tell your kids, do your homework and be prepared. And then you have this outcome, and you have people putting children to bed tonight, and they're afraid of breakfast. They're afraid of, how do I explain this to my children? I have Muslim friends who are texting me tonight saying, should I leave the country? I have families of immigrants that are terrified tonight. This was many things. This was a rebellion against the elites. True, it was a complete reinvention of politics and polls, it's true. But it was also something else. We've talked about race. I mean, we've talked about everything but race tonight. We've talked about income, we've talked about class, we've talked about region. We haven't talked about race. This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes. And Donald Trump has a responsibility tonight to come out and reassure people that he is going to be the president of all the people who he insulted and offended and brushed aside. Yeah, when you say you want to take your country back, you got a lot of people who feel that we're not represented well either. But we don't want to feel that someone has been elected by throwing away some of us to appeal more deeply to others. So this is a deeply painful moment tonight. I know it's not just about race. There's more going on than that. But race is here too. We got to talk about it.
Well, and whoever wins tonight, I mean, there is such polarization in this country. Whoever wins is going to have a very hard time in convincing the other half of the country that they can be their president as well.
That's what I thought I knew yesterday, that I had no idea how deep the divisions are, how real the pain is. And let me say, echoing Van, Kayleigh and Jeffrey were right about that. You saw it in a way that I didn't see it in the data, and you deserve to have credit for that. And maybe Hillary hangs on and wins, maybe Mr. Trump wins, we still don't know. It's really in the balance.
Right.
But irrespective, the pain, and Van just gave beautiful poetic voice to the pain on our side, but Donald Trump was giving voice to some really spectacular pain on his side. And that's, I think, what's causing this. When Jeb Bush, who you mentioned, got trounced by Trump, he said, I don't do anger very well. Well, this is a time of anger. Of course, that anger comes from pain. And Trump saw that, and he gave voice to it.
He also reached across lines, though, that Republican candidates haven't reached across before. He made a direct appeal to the African-American community. He made a direct appeal to a whole group of voters, those in the inner cities who have been left behind, who haven't heard from candidates in decades on either sides of the aisle. And he took his message to them and said, I feel your pain, and I'm going to be there.
Listen, we're gonna have to hold hands here. This is gonna be tough. We'll have to look and see if those people heard it the way you heard it, and if they voted for him. The problem that we have is that there is real pain in the country. Look, Hillary Clinton had to put down a rebellion in her own party. There was a rebellion in her own party along these lines, the Bernie Sanders rebellion. And she put that rebellion down. And she was able to co-opt and pull some of it, but there was still heartburn and rug burn there. There's healing that has to happen in the Democratic Party. There has to be a real conversation about what happened in that primary. And there's pain, economic pain in your party. But you do yourself a disservice, and I don't want either of you to be naive. There are people in your party for whom this was also a vote against political correctness, which for some of them means a vote against these others. And we're going to need your help to heal that. And if I can't acknowledge the elitism in my party, and you can't acknowledge some of the bigotry in your party, we're never going to get there.
Donald Trump's going to be a voice for all the people.
Well,
he said that from day one.
He will make it his first objective to bring people together. I have not the slightest doubt about it. I mean, he said it, but I certainly believe him. I mean, I've seen that in him all along.
We're going to have to work together.
Let's bring in